Happy Monday, everyone. I was reading my Bible this morning and I just wanted to come in here and drop this for a second. So this morning I was in Isaiah chapter 9, if you want to follow along. And so Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 is the phrase that was spoken when Jesus was born, right? For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be in his shoulders, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Right? And verse 7 is the second half of that. But so I'm leading with that because that's important. Because a lot of, let me just go here. So as I was journaling this morning, what came to me was the Bible is not a self-help book. If you pull out segments and leave behind the relationship, it's like receiving a birthday card or letter from your mom and trying to dissect the message, like pull out just the life lessons instead of receiving the intention, the love behind the word. Okay, so I know a lot, and even me, right? I go through and I read the Bible and I'm like, oh, okay, right? Because it's one of those things that we have to do, like check it off the box, like check the box off of our list, right? I am a checklist person. I love checking stuff off of my list. And, I've been reminded recently that it's not about checking off the box, it's about spending time. I was listening to and streaming online service from my old church in Hawaii this morning while I was getting ready for my day, and I just love how they worship. If you're in Hawaii and you want to go visit them, they are a reunion church and they meet at Pearl Harbor Kai Elementary. Anyway, I'll leave the link in the comments if you want to go watch that. But that's what kind of led me to talking about this today, and just how this is just how I read the Bible. I kind of like what I call the point and shoot method. I just kind of like, okay, God, what do you want to show me today? I don't really follow a devotional plan, because I did, and then it for me it lost yes, devotions coming in, sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't. I'm like, I got bored basically following a plan. It's good to make sure like you're on the path and you're doing stuff like every day with God, but that just got boring for me. So this is how I do my devotions every morning. So anyway, back to the subject in the headline, right? Let me just start with Isaiah 9 verse 2. The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light. Those who dwelt in the land of intense darkness and the shadow of death, upon them has the light, capital L, shined. Okay, so what I got out of this, and if you look at my notes, I was watching the live stream and the worship portion while I was reading my Bible, because nothing ushers in the presence of God like worship, right? And especially the way that my friends at Reunion worship, it's like they're not singing, they are actually worshiping. It's like, yes, they're just praising God with their voices and their instruments. And so I usually write out the verse in my journal so that I don't have to go back and like, what was Isaiah verse 9 verse 2, and then it just messes with me, like receiving what I need to receive from my notes. And also I feel like writing out the verse, and like the whole, when you write something out you remember it more, so that's why I do it. Sometimes I write exactly what it says, but most of the time I write the interpretation of like what God speaks to me as I'm reading the verse. So I kind of like paraphrase it, because when I'm reading the Bible, it's not just reading the Bible, right? The Bible is a living and breathing thing, right? that's not what I wanted to talk about today. So as I was reading chapter 2, like right in the middle of as I was writing the sentence out, my friend Rachel was talking about the perfume of a prostitute. That time where, right, they were having the supper, and then the prostitute came in and then smashed a bottle of the alabaster jar straight on Jesus, and like all the disciples were upset. They were like, hey, why did you just smash all of that like expensive perfume over Jesus's feet? We could have sold it. And he was like, you guys don't even know, this was for my burial. She's anointing me for my burial. Like, they didn't understand. They were looking at like money and stuff, and so like God is really confirming stuff about my business, right? My business and my ministry, and like how I want to serve people. And yeah, and so you can see it. It's, my handwriting sucks, guys, but as I was writing the darkness piece and then the light piece, because I don't know if you guys have heard of the song Alabaster Box by CeCe Winans. It's like the theme song of my life, because there's a part of the chorus that says, you don't know the cost of the oil in my alabaster box. And so like a lot of people don't know. So this is where this is the message that needs to come out today, is people don't know what you've gone through. People don't know what I've gone through. You know, people look at your life and they're like, oh, and then they judge you, right? Like, say she was a prostitute, so they were judging her, like, one, why is she in here? She's a prostitute. Like, how do you know these people, right? And then two, like, judge for like wasting a whole year's worth of wages that could have helped all of these poor people, whatever, on this act of anointing on Jesus, right? And so the rest of the verse says, I'll just repeat, dwelt in the land of intense darkness. So that jumped out of the page as depression, right? Intense darkness. And then, and upon the shadow of death. And that jumped off the page at me as suicide, right? So I've been in both. I've been in intense darkness where I thought like life and the shadow of death. And I've dealt with it like personally. I've dealt with it like with friends and family, you know, just help counsel them through that, whether it was them or a loved one going through that. Because I've been through it, you know, I was able to talk to them and minister to them because I've been through it. And so that's verse 2. And then verse 3 talks about you, O Lord, have multiplied the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you like the joy in harvest, as men rejoice when they divide the spoil of battle. So as I was writing, I was like, oh yeah, you know, increase your joy, like spoils. So yeah, you know, I always think of spoils of war, like, oh, it's like the lottery. And then I actually wrote lottery, and then God had me erase it. He was like, no, this was hard-earned spoil, right? It's like they had to go in, they had to go fight, and then get the spoils of the battle. I was like, oh. And it also says like joy and harvest, right? Harvest is about planting. Harvest is about hard work, right? You got to plant the seeds, and then you reap the joy of the harvest. And I was like, oh, so a lot of times, you know, we've been taught that, like, oh, God, just bless me. Just bless me. Like, God, why wouldn't you just bless my work, my business? Like, God, you know I need these things. Just bless me. You know, we kind of like randomly throw out these prayers like that. And the joy of the spoil comes from the hard-earned right? Like you have, like, when you work hard for something and then you enjoy it, it means a whole lot more than if, like, spoiled brats, like they don't appreciate, like, let's say, I mean, the one that's coming to mind is like Paris Hilton, right? They were born in a wealthy family and they just get stuff, or even like childhood actors or whatever, like they just get stuff. Now, I mean, yes, they worked hard, but they, they grew up with, like, just having a lot and not having the maturity to process it all. And so you see a lot of childhood actors, famous people who were famous and rich from when they were very young, like just fall into like this darkness stuff, right? Intense depression, the shadow of death, addiction. Like they go through all these things because they didn't know how to handle all of that abundance at an early age without having to go through the war or the harvest part. Not that they don't work hard, but let's just say they haven't gone through like a whole lot of life in order to appreciate the abundance, right? Like you're 13, you really haven't lived a life. Yes, you've worked hard and, like going on tour and stuff, like that's hard. I'm a performer, so I know like, putting on performances are hard. But they haven't matured enough anyway. So, yeah, so I said, like, it's not just like a lottery. You have to go through work to obtain, and your reward is sweeter. And then jumping down to verse 5. So verse 4 talks about the yoke. But verse 5 is what actually struck me. Okay, so for every tramping warrior's war boots and all his armor in the battle tumult, right? So just the battle, like the scuffling, the tumult, and every garment rolled in blood shall be burned as fuel for the fire. And so this is the piece that I really wanted to hit home on today, right? It's the first part of it is like the blood. Like say you have like a clean garment and like a dirty blood, sweat, tears soaked garment, right? That one has a lot more fuel behind it to burn, right? There's like it's kind of like when you start your like a fire, like your barbecue grill or your hibachi, whatever, right? You have to add a fire starter in order for the paper to burn, or like charcoal has, like when you buy the pre-bought charcoal, it has a fire starter in it, so that when you throw the match on it, it just automatically ignites. But if you get like a wood, so even like if you have a wood burning stove or fireplace or whatever, right, you have a fire starter log. Like I never grew up with a fireplace, so I don't know these things. I only know about like starting a barbecue grill because we used to grill a lot when I was younger. And so, right, you need a fire starter. So what I felt like God was saying is that the blood, sweat, and tears that soaked the garment in the battle is like the fire starter that you need in order, for it to be ablaze, right? So that's the first part. And then the second part is also like, so burning it, you need the starter. And then when you do burn it, you're burning it on the battlefield. And what I felt like God was saying is like, you're leaving it all behind. You are burning it to ash. Like, like if you watch any of those like war movies, like old war movies where they put everything in the center and they just burn it, like some of them, they even like burn bodies and stuff, right? But they burn the whole village in order to conquer it, because you want to get rid of the old regime in order to establish authority in that new village, right? Say you have these people want to take over these people, and then it's like boom, 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 there's war happening, and then, oh, we defeat you, but in order to establish that we defeat you, we have to get rid of the old regime. We have, like, you like, they burn, well, yeah, they burn stuff, the old regime. Even like for, I'm not a Hawaiian history buff, so if you're watching this and, you know, my friends, and I have the facts wrong, go ahead, just tag me in a comment below saying, hey girl, you got it wrong. But when, you know, the ancient Hawaiians were taken over by the missionaries, right, they destroyed all of the altars to the old gods and all of that stuff, because they had to destroy the old regime in order for the new, you know, religion, government, and everything to move forward. So that's what God's saying, right? The blood, sweat, and tears, one, is going to be fuel for the fire, and then also, two, you have to leave it on the battlefield. So that is all that I have for right now. I literally just had my time with God, and just felt like I needed to drop that here. So hopefully this ministered to you today. If you need any prayer, whatever, comment below, send me a DM, and I would love to pray for you. Oh, also, before I leave, I also wanted to drop that, I'm hosting a summit online, right? If you look at the cover photo, oh, sorry, my leg fell asleep. And so, sorry, yeah, so my leg fell asleep, and anyway, look at my picture, my beautiful picture. Even though this is like hashtag I woke up like this. I literally woke up like this. And it's fine. Because if y'all judge me for coming on here with, hashtag I did brush my teeth, guys. And I did take my vitamins, so. And then I came in here to get with God. And anyway. What I'm trying to say is, register for the summit. It's called Recover Resiliently, and recoverresiliently.com. Go there and you can register for the summit, and at the end, right, you'll get the registration page. Yay, you registered. On the bottom of that page, it will say click here to join the Facebook group. All of the conversation for the summit is going to be inside the Facebook group. It's not going to be out here, because when I set this summit up, I literally wanted it to be like us at a table, just talking story about things that affect us in our lives. And we're talking about some deep stuff. Like I alluded to, like verse 2 talks about intense darkness. We're going to be talking about depression and the shadow of death. We're going to be talking about suicide. If you have not heard about my suicide story, it's somewhere on this page. If you want to comment, and I'll tag you in the post. But yeah, I've dealt with some heavy stuff. I've been through some dark stuff. I've been through my own battle, my own blood, sweat, and tears battle. And I'll just tell you this. There is a lot of people, business mentors, telling me I should not host the summit at this time. I live in California now, so right, there's all these people talking about Mercury retrograde and whatever. I'm like, I don't think my people even know what that is. Like people, like, I didn't know what that is until I met like these more, I don't know, they're not hippie, but they're just more new agey type people. They talk about these things, Mercury retrograde and stuff, and I guess apparently it's happening now, and it's not gonna be done until March 8th or something. So my summit is going live on March 2nd, which is a week from today. That's what's happening. It is going down next week Monday, and I would love for you to join us. And like I said, it's in the Facebook group, because we're really talking about some deep stuff, and I want you to feel free to comment, share exactly what you're going through as you're listening to, these people's stories. Oh, another thing, some of my business mentors were like, you should not host a summit with your friends. I'm like, why not? I mean, yes, these are like friends that I've met, but I met them through the business, on my business journey, and they have some awesome stories. And if you've been following this page for any length of time over the last year, my business has shifted from health coaching to I don't know what kind of coaching to now emotional resilience coaching. And I had been avoiding that for a long time because I'm like, why do people need resilience? And as it turns out, when I talk about emotional resilience, people, like, what I thought was like, just something that like I do. It's like just some like who I am. And people are like, no, it's needed in the world. And I'm like, okay, why don't I just share that? And I found out about this whole summit model through people that I follow online and people who are like my coaches and mentors. And I'm not that person who likes to follow rules and stuff. Like, I like to wing it and make things my own. I'm that person. If you study brand archetypes, I'm the maverick, and I just like going off the cuff and kind of. I don't like anything cookie cutter, and so I tried to make this as uncookie cutter as I could while still trying to follow the process. And so hopefully you like that. Well, if you watch my videos, I go off the cuff a lot. I come on here without a script, and I just rap. Like, if people need to hear what I have to say, fine. I only go live when I feel like on my heart that God wants me to share a certain subject, topic, things. So it's the same thing with the summit. I kind of like randomly put some friends together. I'm like, hey, I think my people need to hear about what you do. So like, there's one who's a yoga therapist, there's an energy psychologist who I got referred to through a mutual friend. There's another friend who does body language coaching. She does NLP. One who coaches with essential oils. I met her through the Health Coach Institute. One of my friends who's been through a really rough patch in her life, and she uses art as therapy. So she's not an art therapist, because there is actually a title for that, like a certification, but she uses art as therapy. Like, she she used it to help herself get out of like this deep depression that she was in. And it's just like the form of art that she does like dotting mandalas. I have an example. This is not hers, but just a whole lot of like dotting, and you see like how there's the pattern, and to make sure that the dots are straight and they're aligned, and it's like this very fine meditative form of art. And so like my meditative form of art is singing. Like, yeah, I can draw. I can't really paint too well, like paint brushes and stuff. It's too flowy for me. I need more structure, like a pen. So I like to draw. I love singing. And so those are my meditative art forms that I use personally. Writing, not so much. I'm actually struggling to write content right now, for being honest, which is why I'm doing Facebook Lives instead of writing out email copy or even like post copy. It's fine. The people who are attracted to me are people who like to hear and watch and listen. So, yeah. Like, for me, writing doesn't flow, so why should I fit my business into that box? Anyway, I would love for you to join us at the Recover Resiliently Summit. Oh, I forgot to mention one of my friends. She also helps you create a sustainable self-care routine based on your love language. So side rant is I read a book. So Gary Chapman, right? He is the guy about love languages, and he wrote a book about God speaks your love language. And it's like, oh, so sometimes we don't hear God's voice speaking to us because we don't receive it as love. It's like, ugh. But if we tune into like how we receive love, so mine is acts of service. My love language is acts of service, and I love doing things for people. I love gifts that you do something for me, or like say it's a massage, like someone is actually administering a service. Like that's my favorite. And so, I mean, that could be physical touch too, but like mani-pedis and whatever, doing something for me, like loading the dishwasher. You know, like those cute, like, or used to make for your parents. It's like one day of no complaining of taking out the trash or whatever. Like those coupon books that kids used to make when they were in school. Those are my favorite because it's like, yay, you're gonna do something for me. Anyway, so the whole love language thing is sometimes we're not able to receive love because it's not spoken in our love language. Sometimes we don't hear God because we're not receiving the message in our own love language, right? So, what was I gonna say? Self-love is not received or whatever. Like, we're not creating a self-care routine for ourselves in our love language because we're out there copying what this person says, what that person says, and what they do. You don't know. You don't know why this routine works for them. It's because they found something that works. I mean, the whole miracle morning thing, I love Hal's like ministry and everything, and how, you know, he survived his own near-death experience, which is totally cool, totally awesome. But then he built his miracle morning routine for him based on what works. And yes, people have used it, have been successful. And then there's other people who are like, you don't have to wake up at the butt crack of dawn in order to be successful. You have to go with your own body's algorithms, your own, like, how you operate. And I totally believe that God created us all differently. I mean, right, the world would be boring if we were all the same, if we were all cookie cutter. So, yeah, I'm going to just leave that there for today. If you want to learn more about how to create a self-care routine that works with you and how you jive, then you should definitely sign up for the Recover Resiliently Summit. My friend Nicolette is going to help you. You know, we kind of named her the self-care queen because she had like 3 kids back to back. Like one was still like nursing, and then she had another kid. And then I have another friend who we'll be talking about postpartum depression. She has 4 kids under 5. So she's a content creation strategist, that's how we know each other. But she has 4 kids under 5. And when she started this whole journey of being a content strategist, she was a professor at a university, was having a baby, was out on maternity leave, and she didn't know that, you know, postpartum depression was going to hit. She was just like, oh, I have a business and I have a job. You know, why don't I just be the planner that I am, plan for it, write out 90 days worth of content, schedule it all, or have it somewhere. I think she scheduled them all out. And so while she had her baby, dealing with postpartum depression, her content was still going. And, you know, that's how she created her business. Yeah, so I know a lot of you who follow this page, you're struggling to find your purpose, to find your design, like, and all of that stuff. So the whole summit was built for women who, I'm just gonna say it, perfectionists and overachievers, and you don't know how to recover resiliently. You're out here hustling hard. You're out here overworking yourself, over scheduling, like, you're super hard on yourself, and you don't know how to recover resiliently. And this summit and the things that I'm going to start teaching on are going to help you be resilient and stop like letting everything just like bump you around. And like I had, like yeah, you have a job, you have kids, whatever, like yes, things will go bump, but that doesn't mean it has to derail you and steal your joy, steal your peace. It doesn't have to. So that's what we're going to be focusing on during the summit, is how to recover from life's greatest challenges with resilience, right? Basically, resilience is a muscle. You go to the gym, you build your resilience. You build your physical muscles. You go to the emotional gym, you build your resilience muscles. And a lot of times there's this ping-ponging or this roller coaster thing that's happening, and you're just getting jerked around instead of taking the bull by the horns and just silencing the noise and taking control of your life. So I'm done. Time to go eat some breakfast and get my day on. So love you guys. Don't forget to sign up, recoverresiliently.com. If you're like, I don't know how to spell that, cover photo, click there. There's a link there. Click on that link. It'll take you to the registration page. There's a thank you page. Then there is a join the Facebook group. See you on the inside of the Facebook group there. Okay, love you guys. Have a great week, and hope to see you on the summit. Okay, bye.